It looks like nothing's sacred anymore, not even gaming. While this world mocks and teases gamers, calling them nerds and whatnot, we can see that the community would always be there for each other. However, it looks like people are missing out on the memo of loyalty and brotherhood. Here is the biggest drama in gaming history. You might want to sit down for this one as we talk you through it. Starting off with an overview of the scandal that shook the gaming community. The famous Enrico Ricciardi had an almost unmatched collection of rarities that he constantly boasted about on social media until last month when he suddenly disappeared without a trace. Now, when someone goes off the grid like this, it's defo shady. The same community that used to worship the guy for all his contribution to gaming has turned on him, labeling him a pariah because of the wide-ranging forgery controversy that has impacted many collectors' views on their pastime since at least 2015, and as late as last month, at least 7 PC game hobbyists have uncovered dozens of probable forgeries that happened when Ricciardi exchanged or sold. Collections estimate that these exchanges and sales contain games worth over $100,000 if they were genuine. As we'll see in a few minutes, Ricciardi was full of excuses when asked about the whole incident. However, the overwhelming proof that many forgeries circulate in vintage PC games has shaken the community's faith to the core. It felt as if the community had been infiltrated by a dual agent in a spy agency, according to collector Dan Chazarek. When it comes to classic games, Ricciardi definitely knew and understood the importance as a whole and the harm any fake copies would do. The man knew all the trouble and chaos he could create. Nevertheless, he went ahead with it. So what's the big deal about some games from the 80s? In today's world, when an original Beatles vinyl is sold at $790,000, it's no surprise that old games too are in high demand by the gaming community. And we're not talking a couple of years old. These games range back to the 70s and 80s. There hasn't been the type of 7-figure sales witnessed with certain rare Nintendo games in the PC gaming collecting industry. Older computer games are still being collected, with some individuals willing to pay hundreds of dollars for whole discs, boxes, and packaging. Hundreds of dollars are now frequently paid for these games, which used to cost tens of dollars, according to collector Stephen Race. Moving on to the gaming community that got scammed, Joel McCoy, the creator of the 6,000-member-strong Big Box PC Game Enthusiast Facebook page, says that PC game collecting is a niche. Still, it's expanding because the console collectors are completing their collections and searching for the next frontier, BBP CGC. As far as he's concerned, there are a few games rarer than classic PC games. Since the members of the BBP CGC group are mostly close friends, it's very common for them to be glad to share their large findings and set up exchanges or purchases with other members. It's easy to connect with people in a friendly environment like that, which isn't possible when you purchase from random eBay vendors. With them, the relationship and bond matters, and money isn't everything. When two people agree on a deal, sometimes no money is exchanged. If something seems authentic, people obviously wouldn't question it too much. So why would anyone want to scam people in their community, right? Well, Ricciardi had other plans. So naturally, the gaming community is super pissed. Members of the collector community have informed ARS that they no longer feel comfortable in the community or the group they belong to. Ricciardi's transactions and sales were linked to forgeries found in 3 members' collections, according to records released by the BBP CGC on May 30th. As a result, ARS also examined information recently released by Race, who researched some of his own artifacts without knowledge of the larger BBP CGC probe and submitted privately by other collectors, some of who requested anonymity. And then came the consequences. For Ricciardi, McCoy told ARS that BBP CGC can't prove that Ricciardi manufactured these claimed forgeries, even though all of Ricciardi's purported forgeries came via him. McCoy claimed that the inquiry was solely focused on him and if Ricciardi was selling and trading fraudulent games. To put it another way, the guy earned a fortune selling counterfeits. When the group heard the charges, Ricciardi was immediately kicked out of the group for theft and forgery. It was even suggested that Ricciardi, as an expert in his field, should have recognized the fakes. If he was such an expert, he would have caught on to it. But even if he did, he still managed to make a fool out of his fellow gamers. And now Ricciardi claims to be a victim as well. According to him, the last couple of days had been the worst days of his life, excluding his mom and dad's death. For him, the allegations were so terrible that he was absolutely brokenhearted. What do you think? Is the man lying through his teeth? Can it be all a part of his elaborate plan now that he's caught? A guy, he claimed to ARS, had defrauded him. He said he was, at most, guilty of passing along articles that were forgeries that he had no idea he was doing. Ricciardi has has clarified that if someone believes he has presented them with a fake, he has offered to return exchanged games or refund purchases. When asked whether accepting the offer meant admitting that the games were fakes, Ricciardi said, "I have faith in them, and I accepted to give back suspicious games, and they are getting games that they are satisfied with." Before he was arrested, Ricciardi said that he had unintentionally forwarded along a considerable percentage of the purported forgeries in his possession. He added that about 25 games were provided to Ricciardi during the last 6 or 7 years through email and secretly delivered to him from a P.O. box. When asked why Mr. X's email address had stopped working, Ricciardi responded that it had magically stopped working after the storm began. Ricciardi said that his lawyer had advised him not to reveal the contents of his email contact with Mr. X. LMAO. Convenient much? People even asked for details on Ricciardi's dealings with him, including the name of his lawyer and the entire list of suspected forgeries, but Ricciardi refused. Now, if that doesn't sound shady, I don't know what does. After all, why would anyone want to hide their face if they're telling the truth? In other news, here are some gaming dramas of 2022. First off, there might be no Abandoned. Yep, you heard that right. The game we had all been looking forward to might not exist at all. With each passing year, it seems that Abandoned will join the long list of video game scandals that have tarnished the industry. The anticipation for this game was palpable from the moment it was revealed, but it looks like there's some scandal ahead. A GameSpot investigation has shown that the game may not exist at all. The fact that Blue Box Game Studios isn't working on any games is a surprise for some fans, considering how unpredictable they usually are. Since their makers have been vague in their communications, there has been suspicion regarding the game, but it finally became clearer. A privately hosted Discord server was uncovered during the most recent investigative work by a fan. It is Hassan Karaman who is in charge of keeping the server in touch with the server's few users. Based on the testimonies given by those same persons, it is possible that there might not even be a game to begin with. In light of this, Abandoned and its creators are left with many questions. And then there was the Activision Blizzard lawsuit. According to a California law enforcement agency complaint in July, Activision Blizzard was accused of years of sexual harassment and discrimination against female employees. Initially, Activision argued that the lawsuit unfairly depicted the firm. Several workers organized a protest walkout, calling for particular alterations. Protests were held in-game, subscriptions to World of Warcraft were canceled, and Twitter's trending hashtags were all a part of the fallout. The rage was real, and people were ready to show it to the world. During the lawsuit and subsequent internal investigations, World of Warcraft Overwatch developers took down any references to specific staff members. Overwatch cowboy Jesse McCree was dubbed most prominently. Cole Cassidy is his new name. Due to additional HR investigations, Activision Blizzard has dismissed over 20 workers and claims it has penalized over 20 others. Yikes! Is it possible this might be one of the biggest scandals out there? Finally, G-Don got banned for inciting hate on Pokemon. Twitch's most popular and beloved female broadcaster was hit by a torrent of abuse in her chat room when she discovered that the abuse she was getting wasn't coming from bots. Still, from G-Don's true fans, it was even more devastating. Misogynistic insults aimed at G-Don have been left on Pokemon's broadcast by his viewers. Initially, G-Don was given a 2-week punishment, but this was increased to a lifetime ban. As a result of G-Don contacting him, Ninja stepped in to give advice and assistance to avoid being punished for the incident. Pokemon and Ninja got into a fight, and Ninja's wife threatened Poke through DMs with legal action. That's it for today's video. Make sure to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel for more videos like this. See you in the next one.